Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Neil, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Guillaume, it's lovely to be here.
Let's do this. So, Neil, tell us a bit the background story. What got you into the world of culture, organizational development, and ultimately consulting?
So my journey's been quite varied. I've been on the client side quite a bit of my career, but I've also my current sort of gig in consulting is not my first time. So I did have a consulting firm I set up in my mid-20s, and then went back to corporate life. So the themes that I've run throughout my career have been performance sport. Actually, is where I started. I was then then I moved to the world of operations and quality management. I was fascinated about consistent excellence. What conditions do you need to create to enable teams to perform consistently well every day? Then I got into the world of learning and development, talent development. I was fascinated in unlocking potential in individuals and teams. Then I went back into organizational design and how do you organize a set of people around a mission, around a purpose, to deliver sustainably. And then I went back into the corporate world and led some big transformations, big programs, Vodafone, globally for Fitness First, one of the largest health and fitness chains, big turnaround transformation. And I was fascinated with the space of culture and how people talk about it. It's the most commonly used phrase in business, but I think possibly the least understood, or people come at it in so many different ways. That's why I was fascinated about what I could bring from a pragmatic, evidence-based point of view, having been in my client's shoes to help support them and bring a team together that could do that. So that's a bit about my journey. So on the client side and in the consulting side.
I love this, and I'm gonna kind of double down here. One of the things that we started doing about a year ago now, together with Hussam, so my Scottish co-founder, is anybody that we hire for like help, mentoring, like anything that you can think of in terms of education, and like this is where we want to go, but we don't know how to go there. We only pay people who have been in our shoes and who have made it to the other side, and like where we want to be now. And ideally, people who've already helped other people like us also cross that bridge. Right. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot find good help in consulting firms, coaching firms, when people haven't been on the client side of things. I mean, I myself started at PwC, and you start your career there. You don't start within the office of the CFO and then go into consulting, although that happens. So it is possible to make it like that. But I think there is such a different flavor to the job when you have done it yourself, and that you understand that it's not only going to be about fancy and nice slides, but also like, hey, this is what the day-to-day looks like when you're understaffed, when you have the pressure of the quarterly report, when you're going through a merger and acquisition, and there is a gazillion things to do. I'm talking in finance because this is what I know, but I suspect it's the same for you, Neil. So I respect that, and I live by that as well. So yeah, tell us a bit more about the problem that you're solving now. Like, what is it that you help people achieve?
So just to round off a little bit more about the journey, before I answer that question, I actually don't describe myself as the founder of Dragonfish. I actually describe myself as the founding client. So actually, our origin story was I used our services when I was on the client side, and as Dragonfish was starting. But I saw the real opportunity in it. So I think sometimes people look at me in a strange way when I say I'm not the founder, I'm the founding client. But it's part of our story. So I just thought I'd add that in. But the problem that we're solving very simply today is alignment, helping organizations really understand how they can improve alignment to be more change ready So we know that organizations need to adapt rapidly at pace. Doing transformation well isn't easy. So the problem we solve is helping organizations create better alignment and an alignment advantage to be able to transform better and be ready for anything as best you can these days. So that's the problem we're solving.
What does that mean? Being ready for anything today?
Yeah, for anything today, I think we're pragmatic, Jim. I think what being ready for anything today means is your organization has the ability to learn quickly, to take people on the journey with a different direction, whether that's a new way of strengthening how you're being data led, a pivot for your customers, or adopting new technologies. Look at the transformation happening with AI at the minute, but there are many market changes from a volatility point of view, which are having to make organizations and teams and leaders really move quickly to take an advantage, but also build their confidence in delivering still an ambitious vision for the future is not easy these days. So being more change ready certainly reduces the risk of being able to do that. So more adaptive, I think, is a good phrase that we use. More adaptive.
It's funny. I've thought about this a lot for our own company, right? And I think right now, so obviously we're on the smaller size, but I've come to the conclusion that we have no clue of what the world is going to be in 5 years. Elon Musk is saying that we are 3-4 years away from having robots, like his robots, perform surgeon level operations in the surgery room, which is like, when you think about health, potentially is like the last thing that we will eventually delegate. So in our day and age, how do you market that? How do you brand that so people understand that they still need to be ready whilst everything is changing so fast?
Yeah. So I think there are a few elements to this in the work that we do. It tends to start with how an organization views its culture. Are they intentionally shaping it to be delivering for the future, or is it the problem that they focus on if they can't do something? Is it the enabler or is it the problem? We always say either way, you shape culture or culture shapes you, but either way you get the culture you deserve. So I think the first focus there for an organization is, how intentional are you about all the elements that are going to define your short-term performance and your long-term future. All we can do is dominate the controllables, control the controllables, and focus on the strongest system you have as an organization. That's where culture comes in for us. It's not a soft term. It's an ecosystem of all the elements: your vision, your strategy, your brand, your interconnected customer people plans, the behaviors, the way you make decisions. It's all those elements and how they fit together. So the stronger you can work on that, the better. So that's the first element. And then I think it's about your risk appetite and your attitude towards change. And we certainly see organizations who are designed around the customer, are very strong with data-led, are the very best at being able to be resilient and take advantage of the opportunities. And culture is a huge part of ensuring those things are embedded well into the organization. So those would be a couple of thoughts on your question. So it's a very interesting area, this one.
I like it. Who is the target client? Who's the avatar, Neil?
So it used to be that we'd work with other chief people officers who had been in the role. I'd been in an organization, usually very commercial, close to the commercial team and the customer team. But these days we target ambitious C-suite transformation leaders, and that could come from anywhere in an organization today. It could be a chief transformation officer. It could be sponsored by the CEO who wants to be very close to shaping the culture for the future of the organization. So yeah, it can be a range of leaders, but the sweet spot for us is when the chief commercial officer or chief customer officer is very, very much in partnership with the chief people officer. That's our sweet spot, and operations are well aligned with the two of them. That's the golden trio for us, is of those roles. And it's very hard to market to. They meet in different places. I still don't understand why there's not more cross-functional T-shaped leadership forums or events. You have to kind of meet those different groups in different places. So we're trying to encourage more research and events that bring those C-suite leaders together to network.
Might have an idea or two on that.
Great.
What's the company though? Do you have like a specific industry, a specific niche, a specific company size? I mean, if you have a C-suite, level executives team, it means it's rather, I mean, on the medium or large side of things, probably not small businesses, but like, do you have a specific industry niche that you're going into specifically?
So our ideal size of organization is between 1,000 and 10,000 people. It is growing. We work with a number of organizations that are far bigger than that internationally, and also from the UK. I think the ideal sectors, we do have sector focus. For the first time, actually, in the last couple of years, we started to really focus on particular sectors we want to have impact in. So public sector, health, financial services, multi-site service, and retail businesses. And also we do a lot of work in the impact sector as well. So large charities or global impact or organizations, not-for-profit organizations. So those are the sectors, 5 sectors. But for the last 10 years, we've been agnostic. We've very much gone where our reputation has taken us or referrals have taken us. So this is a new development to focus on those sectors, and very much a team conversation. Where do we want to have impact as a team in line with our mission, but also where do we think those markets have been underserved with some of the data and insight and pragmatism we can bring to support the way that they're transforming culture.
I'm gonna ask you a bit of a cheeky question, but I'm gonna give context around it before.
Okay.
So I'm huge on narrowing down on a specific niche first, and then, going outside of that niche with the proof and the authority that you've established with the existing niche. Now, you're in a different situation because the business is established for a while now. I think this allows to go back to our surgery example. If you need a back surgery, right, and you have 2 options, one surgeon with like 10,000 surgeries experience, he's done back, shoulders, brain, guts, heart, whatever surgeries, really a really good like performing surgeon. And the second option that you have is same thing, 10,000 surgeries experience, only doing backs. If you need a back surgery, you're probably going to go for that particular one. And you might even be able to, you might even be willing to pay a premium for that, because they have all these experience for the very specific problem that you have. And so many coaching and consulting firms, they're also very much like, oh yeah, but my service is like industry agnostic. And I'm like, I get it. And I see why. But your clients still rather have someone who's walked many, many times in their space for their specific problem than anyone else. So what you're doing is, I think, a very, very good business decision. That's the context. Why did you decide to, going there after decades of like doing it just like industry agnostic? Why focusing on public, health, finance, retails, and charities?
So it comes down to 2 things. Number one, the kind of purpose that we have as an organization, and the mission we have, and the impact we want to have as a team. So a big conversation about how critical those sectors are for creating better societies, better futures. So there's a big part of that is about where do we want to really have impact. And number 2, we've learned through 2 things from our practice, so over 100 clients over the last 10 years, why have we earned the right to work in those sectors? Because we've had experience, and we've built up that experience enough in those sectors with the case studies, the evidence, the data. And then the second part that underpins all of the work that we do at Dragonfish is we've been running studies on the links between culture attributes and performance. Over 6,000 organizations now over that 10 years. The Cracking the Culture Code series, there's a lot of our research is published, which has also helped us narrow in on those sectors that we think we can make a difference to. The other element that we always talk about are the triggers. So what are the so I like your health analogy here, but also what are the conditions, the symptoms that have created the backache. We've learned a lot about the symptoms and how to focus on the symptoms. So we recognize the triggers, not just what a brief the organization has brought to us. It's the context that that we understand and led us to helping in that area. So there's a few elements that have led us to focus in on. I wouldn't say it's an exact science, but I think the data and the research and the drive, it's a combination of those things that has led us there.
I like that. That does make a lot of sense. How do you, so coming to the marketing and branding side of things that you mentioned earlier, how do you guys at Dragonfish make it work? Like, how do you brand? How do you market? How do you get into the rooms with the, C-suite executives of operations, sales, and people of 1,000 to 10,000 people organizations, so that you can be like, guys, something needs to change. We can help you achieve that. What has worked for you to get those new conversations, to get those new leads?
So most of the opportunities that come to us are network referrals. So people that have worked with us before, or they've heard of our work, or they have experienced our research, actually. So our research, publishing our research, continuing to do ongoing research studies and being generous with sharing that research has definitely been a source of opportunity for us. It's where a lot of our opportunities have come from. We do a mix of other things, events, we've sponsored things, we've done a few podcasts, things like this. But I would say our research, making it practical, making it tangible with models that we hope people are talk to other colleagues about, that they can use to self-assess or to think about their problem, the frame of their problem in a different way. That's what we believe, has certainly helped us. But we're always asking ourselves, what more can we do? What are others doing from a marketing events point of view? And I would say our conclusion at the minute is to work on more influence, talk about what we're learning, share what we're learning generously, and be in the conversation from the start, not just with research coming down the line, be there from an influence point of view from the start. And that's a change for us. That's something we're learning how to be more confident about, and to trust the experts that we have in the team, the experience we have in our team alongside our clients. So that's how we've been doing it, Guillaume, and that's how we're thinking about doing it going forward.
That's super interesting. And so back to your previous point around, hey, why is there not much more like of a T-shaped, organizational conferences, events, so that we can have that conversation between the different people who could be less siloed with their team, let's say. You're talking to me about influence. You're talking to me about brands. You're talking to me about being there before the conversation starts happening around we need to change, so that you're top of mind when there is potentially an RFP or potential reflection around how to change that. And there is also a need for the industry to have a conversation happen between the different people within the organization. And it's completely like blank page here, whiteboard. But I think this is a problem much more consulting firms face than they themselves know. So I'm not assuming that you have it all figured out just yet, but like, what are you thinking in terms of what could work, what could make that happen, develop that influence, and have those conversations happen? The reason I'm asking you this, Neil, is because obviously you guys are experienced, you know what you're doing. There's not going to be a direct return on investment like right now doing this versus speaking at a conference, for instance, where you would be in front of people who are in, purchasing decision making. So how are you thinking about this at Dragonfish, and what could be that next move to help you act on that?
So it's interesting, GM. I go back to when I was on the client side. I talk to our clients regularly about what they're finding valuable And I think a number of them said, I can relate to this as well, even though it was a while ago since I was in their shoes, that there's a sea of content, out there, but actually people are really valuing communities that they can learn from. They're looking for people that can mentor them on things, and also that they can mentor them on things. So I think peer-to-peer is back. I think people are looking for peer-to-peer opportunities, and we've always tried to really think along those lines. How can we connect other people, not for our own benefit, for their benefit? Because I think that builds trust and relationships. And I know I certainly valued it as when I was buying consulting services, not just being sold to, but actually being supported and connected. If somebody could connect me with another CPO that had been through a thing that I was trying to solve, that makes a real difference. So we're trying to be very proactive of connecting people and building communities. And I think that's something the consulting industry could do more of. Is to leverage those relationships they have. We're so privileged to have so many connections across different clients. How do we help those clients and make more of them? So it's a win-win for everyone.
Amen to that.
So it's time. It's an investment. How do you put a structure around it? I think you sometimes still need things to invite people to, round tables, but also how can you connect people in different ways? So I think we're looking at doing that. Coaching and mentoring is a growing part of the work we do on culture transformation anyway. So I think working on how we leverage that better is a good plan. What are your own reflections on this?
I mean, it's interesting. I think I had a few guests who came on the show and who mentioned something that I intend on doing when I'm fully in the US as of in a couple of months, which is private dinners once a quarter with like handpicked clients and non-clients to not necessarily sign deals there and then, but be the organizer of the conversation, making it happen, whilst being a bit in an informal settings. At the end of the day, I think that's what you want to be. You want to be the connector in your industry, the one making the conversation happen. Because once you have that, not only do you have your eyes on the potential deals going on, but also people see you as like, hey, I have a question around this, or I have a problem around this. You're visible, so you're top of mind. And they're like, yeah, they should know because they are talking to so many other people like me. So I like that idea of like roundtables, dinners for sure. And my next thought is obviously going to be a bit biased, but I think on a much more one-on-one format, podcast works really, really well for that. Nothing stops you from doing a podcast with multiple guests at the same time. We did it a few times. It requires some logistics. But yeah, no, I think you're headed in the right direction. Overall, if we look at it from a more macro perspective, we are in a day and age where anybody can claim anything on the internet. Anybody can just, regurgitate some content from ChatGPT on LinkedIn. So I think using a tool that will allow you to have authentic, we were talking about it, real conversations, showing your face, being together with people, doing the unscalable, automatable. I'm not sure of my English here. Is, in my opinion, how you're going to win as a consulting firm. And you need anyways, because the things that, we used to be praised for and valued for can be heavily automated now as well. So we're in that interesting spot, I think, where the direction you're headed, organizing the conversation, being much more, arriving much earlier in the process of the decision-making of purchasing is going to be key. That was a very long-winded answer, but that's my thought.
It's very helpful. I like the way you talk about connectors of the industry. I think there's two other things that it made me think about that we're doing and we're planning. So one is about not just focusing on the buyer leaders today, but the future leaders. The journey to leadership is accelerating, and organizations have to think smaller. So we're thinking about those influencers, those leaders of the future now, and starting to create forums and opportunities. So we'll be doing every 6 months, we'll be doing a future leader, culture leader forum to really widen that out, the support we can give that next generation of leaders who are going to be leading transformation. So how can we influence them? And the other thing is shaping proprietary models with clients as well. That's something we've just started to explore, where you're really making variations of tools that are right for clients, and they are vested in it, not just so that we can scale a proprietary solution to other markets or other clients, but actually do it together with some of our clients. I think they get great satisfaction for that. It can also help their own growth. So we're experimenting on some of those things as well. How do we do different things with our clients that we become famous for, and they talk about and they trust us for? So
I like the philosophy a lot. Can you tell me about sales, Neil? So we talked a lot about branding, marketing, influence, which I love because we don't get to talk a lot about it on the show. Tell me how you tie all this into, conversations, sales conversations, SOWs, RACI, letter of engagements, rock and rolling. How did that happen?
So I would say, most of our work comes from existing partnerships and clients. So 70%, sometimes more in the last few years, has been from existing partnerships. So yes, we need a pipeline, but it's a long process of building the right relationships when those clients are ready for the future. And we're very, very careful about which RFPs do we go for, where we've built up some connection, and therefore they know a bit about us already. They like our research. They know a bit about the background of our research. They might have seen a case study, and then it's the right time, the right triggers, and it's right for us. Sometimes we will go for things that we would love to win, and put a value proposition together that maybe makes us stand out. But we know we're taking a risk on those versus the ones where we've really developed the right conditions. So I think we've learned through looking at the data. It's not about it's not just about quantity of opportunities. It's about obviously the quality of the opportunities. So we've used Monday.com very well to help us sort of look at data analytics of which opportunities, what are the triggers. We do a lot of learning reviews. So a painful process. We have many scars from getting it wrong and refining that over the years, but that's a little bit about the approach we take. We don't go for high volumes. We go for a science, but also a careful consideration of creating the right pipeline opportunities.
What makes you decide not to go after a certain RFP?
We find it very hard because you can always go, look, we'd love to help that. We'd love to win that work. We'd love to work with that brand. We'd like to win that particular type of business. So we find it hard to say no. But I think when we know we're cold, they don't know who we are. There's not, maybe we don't have the right case studies that are going to build the confidence that they might need. Particularly, we look at the persona of the client now. Are they determined? Are they undecided? Or are they maybe a bit frightened or risk averse around the type of professional services buying they might make? So we look at which persona we think they are, and we have a conversation as a team. We decide on based on those observations or thoughts whether we should go for it or not. Sometimes we go for things to learn because we want feedback and we want to test our proposition out, but that's how we approach it.
I have a bit of a curveball question for you.
Oh, go on then.
Yeah. I don't know if you're fond of cricket or baseball up there in Scotland, but what's your number one challenge right now? Like, what's the one that you guys are trying to crack that, once you've cracked, you're going to take the whole thing to the next level? If that's even the goal, right? And it can be next level in the sense of not necessarily growth, but anything that you're looking to achieve. What is that one challenge for you?
That one challenge is, I think, breaking into larger organizations, the beyond 10,000 plus. That we would like to have more impact with larger organizations of scale, particularly in the sectors I've mentioned. And we need to think about how we might build more strategic alliances with other organizations so we can solve problems in a slipstream with maybe some bigger organizations. So we're feeling our way as to how we might best approach that. So biggest challenge is how do we crack bigger organizations, and how do we become an ecosystem partner with other organizations and still do what we do well and are authentic about, you know, what we do and the impact we bring. So there's two challenges. There are many others running and growing a sort of a boutique consultancy firm like ourselves, but those are the two at the moment.
So that's a totally fair challenge, and I guess something that's people who are looking to grow. I mean, when you want to grow, you have only two paths possible. You either sign more clients or you make your clients worth more, meaning you go after bigger fish who can pay you more, or you propose additional services to the existing clients that you have.
Yeah.
I like it because often people think I need more clients. The strategy that you guys seem to be having is we want to go after bigger fish.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Impact, for one. You know, some of these organizations that have footprints internationally, there are many organizations connected to their ecosystem. We know we would like to have bigger impact, build our confidence with those larger organizations, and those larger organizations shape markets and you know, shape sectors. So we'd also like to work with more of those players, and we do well. We are punched above our weight with some big brands in some of the sectors that we're in. But I think that's what's driving us is definitely the impact and the scale of the transformations. We want to be famous for supporting the most vital culture transformations with the most them ambitious leaders, market leading brands. I think we have done very well to develop long-term partnerships with our existing clients, that size that we're currently working at. But we would like a few breakthrough larger clients, not loads. We just want to, make sure we do scale up and do them well alongside the existing portfolio of clients that we've got.
Niall Cluley, ladies and gentlemen, and pardon if I butcher the family name, Niall. And if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
So on the usual places, we have a lot of our research on our website. So Cracking the Culture Code research on LinkedIn, on our website. We'll be launching a new website later this year with some more updated features and content on it. And we will be doing more of these. We'd like to do more conversations and talk to people about the work that we do, the things that we've learned, and the problems that people are solving today. So very grateful to come and be involved in this conversation today.
It was a pleasure to have you, Niall. We'll put all the links in the description. For what I'm concerned, I can say one thing for sure, is that you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn today out of this interview. Me, I just added it. Niall, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time. How